all the fishes I've worked with in my career, the ones I've studied the most are different species in the family of trout and salmon. Trout are some of our most culturally important fish, and some of the most sought after. As a group, trout are defined by their need for cold, clean, connected streams and rivers where they can move to find the habitats that they need throughout their different life stages. Trout embody the characteristics of a healthy cold water stream. Now, the trout native to the interior West are the cutthroat trout, which are the most widespread trout in North America. They have lived and evolved here for more than 1 million years and developed distinct subspecies as they spread throughout the different river basins. In my home state of Colorado, there are 4 different subspecies, and each historically occupied vast portions of these river basins, from the headwaters down out to the lowland rivers, where they grew to be large. And yet, because of the last 150 years of human changes to Colorado's rivers and watersheds, these trout are now relegated only to small islands of their former habitat. And one species, the yellowfin cutthroat, has gone extinct entirely. The drastic decline in Colorado's native trout populations has been caused by the way we've used resources. Some of the greatest changes to trout habitat in the West and in Colorado have come from transforming our wild rivers into highly managed water delivery systems to supply our cities and farmlands. Reservoirs and diversions designed to store and deliver water commonly create barriers that are impassable to trout, and have also depleted or changed the flows downstream so that trout populations decline. Many of these storage and delivery systems are designed to transfer water from western Colorado, where it's more plentiful, across the Continental Divide to provide communities and agriculture on the eastern slope of the Rocky Mountains with a reliable water supply. And on top of the changes that we've made to their habitat, over a century ago now, we began importing rainbow trout from the West Coast, brook trout from the Northeast, and brown trout from as far away as Europe. And these have been successful at invading throughout the Rocky Mountain West and have displaced or diluted cutthroat trout populations by outcompeting them, preying on them, and hybridizing with them. Because this happened so long ago, most people now think of these trout as native, and they make up our most popular stream fisheries. Because they're so popular with the public, these non-native trout are regularly stocked or managed in both public and private waters in Colorado. And so the rivers and the trout that are as much an iconic feature of Colorado as its mountains are in fact drastically altered from what they once were. Because I've spent a career studying these rivers and fish, I can't help thinking about the paradox that whenever I water my garden or my lawn, that it's coming at the expense of rivers on the other side of the Continental Divide that support trout. And yet I also know that some of the barriers that divert water from those streams in western Colorado to supply my needs are actually protecting islands of stream habitat that support native cutthroat trout from the invasion by brook, brown, and rainbow trout that would otherwise have access to these streams. This patchwork of headwater streams protected from invading trout is often the reality for native trout conservation across the American West and in many other parts of the world. We now have to manage for competing values and pick and choose what we deem most important, all at the risk of losing some of these values forever. My hope for the future is that we can help people realize how important these fish are to our sense of place in the West. My colleague Bob Benke spent his career studying these fish and often said that people can't relate to rare species that are locked away so they can't see or hold them. When nearly anyone who wants to has the chance to hold and wonder at these ribbons of pure gold, these products of 1 million years of evolution, at the edge of a trout stream in the west, then we will have invited them to help us conserve the remaining forms of these fish that we have been blessed to keep.